But a lot of the details that are there in the film actually came from research. We did not know them before.
Right.
For example, seeing a dead snake, and that's considered
Yeah.
bad omen. You know, that all of it came from the research.
Yeah.
I'll be completely honest here. I mean, if you need a certain kind of money to make the film, the options are very limited. You know, you've got those 4 or 5 or 6 names that you got to choose from, and then Sushant was obviously always there on the list, but there were other names that were talked about in the office. Any of those guys who could have assured the budget.
It was a great cast.
Yeah.
Great.
It was a very, very
Yeah.
good cast. Solid.
And everybody was like, they knew that there was a sense that we are doing something good here. Everybody had the impression कि वो 40 घोड़ों में, you know, तो घोड़ों की training हुई है कि नहीं. And that's also staple of the Daku film in India, you know. And the fact of the matter is, you know, Bandit couldn't change that because we realized that Chumble में घोड़ा का चलेगा कैसे?
Yeah.
It's not possible. This guy, Sushant, you know, he had this ginormous telescope, which was not the ones that we keep for hobby in our house because it looks good. This was actually a genuine telescope that professionals would, and that's what he would do.
Oh.
So after shoot would pack up, you'd see that वो lawn में लेटा हुआ है, and he's got his eye on the eyepiece and he's looking at, you know, planets.
Hi guys, welcome to Screen. So firstly, take me back to a decade ago almost when you guys started writing and conceptualizing Sonchiriya, and I've read somewhere that you guys almost wrote something else which was hit in Chumble before finally arriving at this. So yeah, take me back to those times.
Yeah, I think 2016 was when we started writing it. 2016 was when we started writing it, and I think we wrote for a good 6 months and came up with nothing.
I came up with a lot actually.
Came up with a lot, but it all amounted to
Nothing.
not very much. It was a very different story. I think all that we knew when we started on that journey was that we wanted to set something in Chumble, in the world of dacoits, because we both are big fans of Bandit Queen.
Yeah.
And we wanted to do something in that sort of landscape and that kind of socio-economic political background.
Yeah.
The first story that we tried to crack was overtly political.
Okay.
It was about politics. It was about politics and it was about the emergency and banditry and all of that. And I think we just took on too much on our plate, and I think we were also approaching it from like a outside kind of a perspective, rather than like just setting a story right in there. We're trying to force a lot of our ideas with it, and I think we spent about 6 months, and it all really didn't amount to much. And I think then when we just started, we were like, okay,
we didn't even share it with anybody.
We didn't share it with anybody.
We just
knew it was shit.
We both of us only decided, had an epiphany. I said, dude, this is not working, and let's do something else.
And then how did you came up with this?
I think that took a week.
So the thing is that once we decided to do away with, we took some elements, like the name Sonchiriya was there. There was a character named Sonchiriya in that also, and there was a Daku named Lakhna. So we took some little elements from that story,
and the background of emergency with
the emergency was foregrounded in that story. This was so, and we decided to do something that was leaner, simpler and leaner, and perhaps you could say that is closer to the Western genre. You know, to do a thrilling story, and whatever comes through, you know, whatever we want to say about the world, that world, and what's happening there, comes through without trying to do it overtly. I mean, it just comes simply. You know, and the basic idea, the basic story, most of it took us a week actually.
Right. So I mean that's when we shifted it. I guess earlier it was an epic. In terms
saga.
of its tonality. It was an epic saga, and then it became like
far more intimate,
visceral kind of a western.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, the unity of time, because it moves. It's not a story of like 3 years.
Yeah.
It's a story of a few days.
Yeah.
All that happened.
Yeah.
I think the earlier one spanned the entire emergency.
Yes.
From 75 to 78,
Yeah.
it was
Okay.
that kind of a story.
Yeah.
And this was just a story of few days. And if you look at the story at its bare bones, it's a very simple. It's it's something that you've seen in westerns. You have to go from a place to another place, and
Yeah.
and you have to take this child there. So
Kind of a chase film.
kind of a chase. film.
Yeah. And I think we were also prescient with figuring out that soon there will be a lot of emergency films.
Yeah.
So we're like, why add to that oeuvre?
Yeah.
Let's just
To the noise,
yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask because I've read somewhere that you spent some time with a real dacoit called Mohar Singh, if I'm not
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
How was that experience like?
It was quite something.
Yeah.
It was quite something. That time that I think I spent a couple of weeks in Chumble, researching, meeting a few of these dacoits and meeting these ex-bandits and the police officers and just checking out the landscape. And it was quite. It's quite. At least I haven't been there since the shoot, and I don't know if it's still the same, but it was pretty much like it is. It's quite bleak, the place and the I mean, so the bandits aren't there anymore, not in the same form as we have sort of shown in the film. Mohar Singh ji was around at that point of time. I think he passed away, if I'm not wrong, a few years back.
Okay.
He was 80 something, and it was quite fascinating just to hear of those times and some of the details which you would not come up with. Like, for example, I remember one thing which I really wanted to like put it into the script, but we couldn't find a place because of the nature of the story, was that when the gang was of 200 people, 200 plus people, right? So it's 200 people traveling through the ravines, and they had like cooks, and they had like they had like the
All the
entire
essentials.
full forge was there, right? In fact, they also had a bhajan mandali along with them. So when they would stop, that would be the entertainment for the night, because they were very religious,
Okay.
and and there would be bhajans every night, and even some of these sort of people they kidnapped, they would be participating in that. It was quite something, like those details.
Yeah.
But a lot of the details that are there in the film actually came from research. We did not know them before.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
For example, seeing a dead snake, and that's considered
Superstition, yeah.
bad omen. That's all of it came from the research.
Yeah. Yeah.
That Sudip spent about 15 days. Later, Sudip and I went ourselves, I think around March, and we spent about 10 days there again.
Yeah. It's sort of a revisionist western
Yeah.
in that sort of way. And so was Ronnie always on board, or like a producer always on board, or was it difficult?
No, in this case, the project started when Ronnie called me for a meeting, and he said, do a film and do an action film.
Okay.
So it was in that meeting that we knew that I knew that we were going to do an action film, and Western was also on the cards, that perhaps something like a Western.
Okay.
I'm sure Ronnie had a very different Western in mind. But yeah, so I mean, and that was exciting. When I came and discussed with Sudip, he was up for it completely.
Yeah. And you instantly came on board, or you had some reservation?
We already were working on something.
We were already working on it.
Yeah, so we wanted to do another film together at any rate.
Wow.
In fact, before Sonchiriya, there was another subject that we were working on.
Okay.
One of the many things that we sort of dabbled in, and didn't do anything with it. That business story or something.
Right.
That. So we wanted to work together at any rate.
Yeah.
So it's it's always better in this town to like write your own stories and then find a producer.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's just this happy coincidence that you're writing something and the producer is interested in that kind of a thing, and then that's when the film happens. But it's always better to, because if you sign something before you write it, then you don't know what it might end up becoming.
A lot of the writing actually happened even before Urta came out.
Right.
Oh. When you guys were editing
Right.
the film?
I mean, the first pass, the epic saga of the story happened before the Urta controversy,
Right.
the censor controversy broke through.
Right.
Obviously, we couldn't work for that
Right.
for those couple of months, but yeah, the writing had begun before that.
Yeah. Sushant and Bhumi's casting is something which is very inspired in that sort of way, because I don't think so anyone would have imagined Sushant in a character like that, or even Bhumi for that matter. So were there the original choices, or you guys were also considering other names in the mix?
No, we were considering other names. Look, I'll be completely honest here. I mean, if you need a certain kind of money to make the film, the options are very limited. You know, you've got there's 4 or 5 or 6 names that you got to choose from, and then Sushant was obviously always there on the list, but there were other names that were talked about in the office. Any of those guys who could have assured the budget that we wanted to raise, but Sushant was one of the first persons that I did speak to. The reason was very simple, because both of us discussed it also, and as Sudip was in agreement that there was something desi about Sushant, you know, because all the other stars are like these Bandra boys. I mean, not that they can't do it, but it's just a longer journey to make from who they are to. But for Sushant, it would be easier because he comes from a small town, has some idea about the kind of world that we're talking about. And luckily for us, he said yes instantaneously. So I went to meet him at 4 o'clock one evening, and he was shooting somewhere in Powai, was it, if I'm not mistaken. And next day at 4 o'clock, he was sitting in my office and said yes to the film. So he read it overnight,
Okay.
So that was great because at that time I didn't know what kind of a blessing it was, apart from the fact that Sushant was a veritable star back then.
Yeah.
He also was extremely hardworking and gave it his all, so that was great for the film. And Bhumi, funnily enough, was a name that Ronnie had suggested, because why don't you try Bhumi? And Bhumi was somebody that we liked. And she also said yes instantaneously. She came to meet me in the afternoon. I told her a little bit about the story, narrated a few scenes, and she said, I'm doing it. And both these guys really gave it their all. I mean, Bhumi also worked tremendously hard for the part, really. So it worked out well, I guess.
Yeah. And I think so the other people in the cast, whether it was Manoj.
Yeah, Manoj was the first choice. In fact, when I went to meet Manoj, I told him, read the script. And he really liked it. And then I said, these parts are available, what do you want to do?
Okay.
So he was amused, but he was also secretly happy that, I'm according him so much respect. But in that discussion, it came up that what would you like me to do? So I said, I would like you to play this guy, Datta, because for the simple reason, because it's a smaller part in terms of length, but Datta is there throughout the film. Is almost his soul is hovering in the film throughout. So he has an outsized influence on the story. So he came on board. Shaurya I was very clear about. Wanted him. I had worked with him in Death in the Ganj, which I produced, and I knew him to be an actor who's, so much still can be given. Now he does a lot of work, but there's still so much hidden there that needs to be brought out. So Shauri was Hani and I were sure, and then it was Rana Saab, Ashutosh Rana. Yeah. So I mean, we lucked out in the casting. I think it worked out very well, and also the bunch of Sushant's gang.
It was a great cast.
Yeah.
Great.
It was a very, very good cast. Solid.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, they knew that there was a sense that we are doing something good here. And I guess it was because of the script. Because nobody knew me, knew of me, but nobody knew me personally. But right from the start, everybody had this sense that we are doing something good here. So everybody was really on the ball. They rehearsed. We rehearsed for several months before we shot. They were wearing their costumes. We went to Chumble many days before we shot, and because Chumble is not a very easy terrain.
Yeah.
So, and they wear chappals, or they wear those old canvas shoes. So they had to practice climbing up and down. It's quite a thing. It's not easy. if you don't have your wits about you, you can easily fall. So they did all of that. Everybody just really put their best foot forward for the film.
Was Manoj's character always named Mansingh, or you changed it after he came on board?
No, it was always named Mansingh. You asked that because of Bandit Queen.
Yeah, Bandit Queen.
Actually, we didn't think about that.
No, we didn't think about that. Yeah. So Mansingh is actually he is one of the sort of very revered bandits of Chumble. In fact, he was the OG. Mansingh, and so there is that Mansingh era, which is the true blue sort of Baghi era.
Okay.
That's the 30s. We're talking about
30s and the 40s.
Fighting the British.
Fighting the British,
Yes.
and fighting the good fight and all of that. And then the era is almost sort of ending, and this new era has come up, which is the bandit era rather than the Baghi era.
Yeah. The
And
Poolan
then-
Devi.
Huh?
The Poolan
No,
Devi.
that's much later actually. Even before that.
Even before that, you
Just
have
Malkhan
the
Singh
Mohar
and
Singh, Malkhan
Malkhan
Singh.
Singh, all
It is
that.
that, and by the time we come to Poolan Devi and the rest of them, it was anarchy. It was that was really just it was crime really. With still a sense of the larger sort of socio-political background, but that so Mansingh we actually wanted to kind of refer to. The OG Mansingh, and because he carries some of these older world values about the, about the place and about the ravines, and we sort of wanted that.
Yeah, there was a complete philosophy
Yeah.
that they had, which was fascinating. Which is, I mean, when Sudip came to me after having spent some time there and explained to me, it was that's when the film really started coming together. Although we did have a story. Even before he went, we had a basic idea of the story. Yeah. But when he went there and he, came to me, and it was not just cosmetic details he came, that he learnt there. He also learnt their philosophy, how they thought, so that is what made the film.
Yeah.
That was sur bolte na, sur tab samajh mein aaya ki yaar, this is the film is this. And the funny thing was, although we had seen Mansingh and Bandit, which are both fascinating films, but both are Badla films.
Yeah, this is one.
And also, there is a Daku film tradition in Hindi cinema.
Yeah.
90% of them are Badla films.
Yeah.
This was not a Badla film.
Yeah.
Although Badla is a very important word in a Daku's life, but this was not a Badla film. It was really about their philosophy.
Yeah. That's why I really like, and I've interpreted it in a very different way, but there's this poster, Baghi Ka Badla. And and the way you have pitched and written the film, it's like you're showing us a very different badla hua.
They are being avenged.
Baghi.
They are being avenged upon.
Yeah.
They are the ones who have perpetrators of a crime, and they are being hunted for revenge. So it was the other way around.
Yeah, and I also really like the fact that it coincided with emergency, the story, because it's kind of the last days of democracy coinciding with the last days of, as you said, even the bandits and all of that. And in that sense, a very important thing that I keep and that I really like in the film is that it's subversive in a way, because the outlaws, the bandits so-called, who are lawless, they have far more heart than the cop, Gujar Singh. And was that a conscious choice while writing it? Because they seem to be far more inherently good.
Right. See, I mean, in his head, everyone. So the one thing about the story was everyone was fighting the good fight in his head.
Yeah.
So they, in their head, they were not. No one was a bad guy.
Yeah.
Gujar was avenging what happened to his family and to his village.
Yeah.
And these guys were sort of living with the guilt of what they did, and they had to sort of, escape or sort of
Find redemption.
Find redemption.
Yeah,
In that, at least Lucknow wanted that, and then some of them kind of followed his this thing. Mansingh wanted that for the gang. So it was all like, it's just so much of the idea of banditry in Chumble is about these values and about these principles.
Exactly.
It's never about, I want to, or it never was about, I want to become a bandit because there is money in it.
Yeah.
Because there really isn't that much.
They don't see themselves as gangsters or criminals.
Yeah.
And that's very important to them. Even the most corrupt ones don't see themselves as that.
Yeah.
So that was what was the most fascinating thing about the film for us.
Yeah.
Because they have this really well thought out, well rounded philosophy. You're free to disagree from it.
Yeah.
And we also obviously do not agree, because there was a lot of caste element in that philosophy, because they're warriors of their caste.
Yeah.
They have to preserve an ancient way of life and
The order.
The order.
Yeah.
And they are the ones who are sacrificed everything so that you guys can live peacefully in your villages.
Yeah.
We are so they have this there's these notions about themselves.
Yeah.
And these are abstract ideas, these are fictions that they have made, but it is actually what defines them.
Yeah.
It is actually what stops that they stop short of being just rank criminals or murderers or killers.
Yeah.
Because there's no wanton killing or so whatever they do, there is a reason for it.
Yeah.
There is a deep-seated philosophical reason for
Yeah,
it.
and there's also like this whole value system about how they treat women.
Yeah.
And like no women forget about being touched. No women would even be looked at.
Yeah.
You are supposed to turn your face away.
In fact,
if
they've touched the feet of
They would
Yeah.
touch the feet of even the houses that they would ransack. The women would be left alone. They would touch their feet, apologize. And which we have that little moment in.
Yeah.
when
In the
he
beginning
gives
of the
that
film. In the beginning, yeah.
moment when he gives that money to the
Yeah.
bride,
Yeah.
and apologizes for
Yeah.
for what they did. And so that's what made this world so fascinating to dive into.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about it's a cool gangster film. That's what kind of separated it from that. It's that in a way the classic Godfather debate, right? That
Yeah.
I'll not touch drugs.
Yeah.
That there is a
exactly.
code to it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. Exactly. When you say Godfather, as opposed to some people in Goodfellas,
Right.
who are very aware of the fact
Right.
that hum
True.
haramzade hain. This is
Right.
what we do.
Right.
Yeah.
These guys don't have that. These guys are, very proper like
Yeah.
that.
I'm glad you brought that scene up, because I wanted to discuss that one where because I really like how you guys always manage to add some sort of dry humor even to the most unexpected situations, and that one when they're ransacking and they've gone there to loot the wedding, and the way Manoj has performed that scene specifically, and the way Ranveer is reacting to him, and he says ki 101 rupees.
And except was princely sum back then.
Yeah. So was that something that came in research or something?
It was there in the script.
I mean, that specific thing wasn't in the research,
Yeah.
but it just came from the idea of the way they looked at women and this moral
Yeah.
code, and
Yeah.
and how you're supposed to do right by even the victims.
अब शादी में आए तो मुंह दिखाई तो देना पड़ेगा
Right.
ना. So it's like that.
And even he says कि इनको कुछ नहीं होना चाहिए,
Right.
like when
Yeah.
they're fighting.
Right.
And there's also one more instance when when they're on the boat, I think so. Bhumi says to Sushant's character कि बागी दिल के बहुत अच्छे हो, something along those lines that she says. So I was saying कि it's so wonderful in a way, because you're showing like very nuanced characters in that sense. They're not purely evil or as we might have assumed, or like when we walk in to watch a film like that, we might assume they might be like that, or like we kind of associate themselves with archetypes.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not what you guys did. And I don't know, but once another scene, it's a very small detail, but I really like what you did. I think so. It was an editing choice or whatever. I'm not sure, but when Balakram is getting treated. And he screams, and that is immediately cut with the Bagi Ka Banda poster. So that was, and I think so you've done something similar with Urta also in one of the scenes with Alia and like Shahid. They both have certain sort of realization.
Yeah. Cute transitions.
Yeah. So talk to me about that, like those kind of choices.
I mean, it's fun transitions. Transitions are something that I enjoy. Every director does, I guess.
Yeah.
But the scene was when Balakram is getting treated. Obviously, he's going to scream like a banshee because he doesn't have any anesthesia on him as they're taking out the bullet. The next scene, which was written, was that the cops accost the guy, the compounder.
Yeah.
And he says कि it was written in the script कि there is a poster
घोड़े पे बैठ
कि वो
के.
हाँ कि वो because that was one film. I remember when industry knew that I'm making Sonchiriya, everybody had the impression कि वो 40 घोड़ों में तो घोड़ों की ट्रेनिंग हुई है कि नहीं, and that's also staple of the Daku film in India, you know. And the fact of the matter is, you know, Bandit Queen changed that because we realized that Chumble में घोड़ा का चलेगा कैसे?
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
So these guys used to walk, you know.
Yeah.
So that was a scene. That was just a bit of fun that we were having because it was a very somber film. So wherever little we can just inject some you know smile in it. So he says कि घोड़े पे आते डाकू बकलंटे ही है जी घोड़े पे आते डाकू बताओ.
Yeah.
So that poster was there.
Yeah.
So I just placed it strategically so that I get a transition.
Yeah. Another transition.
And we actually the poster that was written was Sholay.
Yeah, and I was coming to Sholay.
But बस उसको बहुत पैसे देने पड़ते.
Yeah, and I was coming to Sholay, but before that, another transition that I really love is the one. I think so. It's in the second half of the film where it's a match cut sort of transition where you cut from the eyes of the girl to the eyes of Ashutosh Rana. Yeah, and that's something another one that I really love. Coming to Sholay, this is just again my hypothesis, and I'm yet to fully develop my hypothesis, but someday I'll write about it. But I think so. You have a thing for Sholay, because like Ishqiya is some sort of way Sholay, and here also, and I think so. Some parts of Date Ishqiya also hints towards some Sholay reference or something. I'm not wrong, but here again. The poster you said कि वहाँ पे शोले का पोस्टर होना था, but because I think so 1975 is also the event Sholay released. Yeah. So but you guys couldn't do it because of the
because this copyright issue and all of that. Okay. So we didn't want to go there, and already it's a tight budget film, so we didn't have the money to pay the Sippies that much money, so we just decided to do away with it. Yeah. As far as Sholay is concerned, look,
it's a huge influence.
It's a huge influence on all of us. I mean, the generation that Sudip and I are from. I mean, when we were kids, Sholay was still running probably in theaters, you know. So it has a huge influence. Although my view on Sholay now is much more measured. I'm not just a crazy fan that I was in my, when I was younger or when I was a kid. Yeah. But yes, it does have more than Sholay. No, I'm a big fan of the westerns.
Okay.
I really enjoy westerns, not just Hindustani westerns, but also American and even the Italian variety.
We don't have actually as many
westerns.
We don't really.
Sholay is probably the closest it comes to following the genre tropes. Correct. And the
थोड़े से वो type की हाँ the Hindi Daku film में शोले western के कुछ elements होते हैं जैसे मेरा गाँव मेरा देश, which is also a film that I saw obviously much later on VHS, which I really loved, really enjoyed when I saw it as a kid. Or any of those Khote Sikke type films, you know.
Even the Sushant's, the trick that he does is kind of a
magic trick.
Yeah, the magic trick that he does. It reminds me of like Amitabh Bachchan from Sholay doing the coin sort of thing. And I think so. You mentioned Mera Gaon Mera Desh, but some way Lucknow's character can be like a very much like Sunil Dutt's. In some sort of way.
Actually, Lucknow's personality is a lot like young Sunil Dutt. I mean, Sushant's personality. But no, I don't think any of these was
direct
conscious in our minds. Yeah. We were not really referencing old Hindi films, Daku films that hard. As a matter of fact, even the great westerns of the great American westerns. I mean, I do remember showing. This one, Once Upon a Time in the West, and The Wild Bunch. So these two films, we did, sort of watch to my crew also, and both of us also discussed it, because those two, perhaps the greatest of the westerns. So, but that was just a starting point.
Yeah.
After that, we did not refer to any tropes or anything of that sort. We did not go back to any of these films to solve any problem that we were facing. We just went with what we had. We also deliberately told Anuj, who shot the film, not to make it look like
Western.
Yeah, just ये landscape है, इसको shoot करते हैं.
Okay.
And depending on the landscape, we figure out the lensing and how to shoot it and all that, but not reference too much.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that I really like and is the fact that it's some sort of way subverts Ramayan.
Oh really? Acha, because
and I think so. It was a theory when I first watched it.
Is that allowed?
That's also another.
So, yeah, subvert is a word that we must avoid.
We must subvert.
Not, yeah, but and because when I first watched it, I thought about it. It's some sort of parallels, and there's this wonderful writer Pankaj Sachdeva. He has written a long post about the similarities between Ramayan and Sonchiriya. And that's when I also realized, it's actually, I'm not thinking in the wrong direction. It might be possibly true. But the fact that, and there are also a lot of Ramayan references because there are characters who are quoting.
Gujar talks about it.
Yeah.
See, it's, Ramayan is such a huge influence on the country, right? In all sort of ways.
Yeah.
Especially for like this bunch of very religious, very spiritual people, which the bandits are. It's so they trying to look at the Ramayan for some of the values or some of the ethics that they are trying to aspire for is it shouldn't be a surprise, because it is really hard coded into the into their mindset and how they sort of look at things. I mean, things like, say, respect for women, or a lot of these, which
Dharm.
The dharm. What is the Raj dharm? What is your dharm? What is the right thing to do in any given situation? Ramayan, for all its greatness as a story, is also first and foremost like a sort of a treatise on how to live your life, or how the society is to be.
It provides context for everything.
Right. So it's no surprise really that, but it wasn't deliberate. I don't think we were trying to, but we were, I guess, only trying to sort of simulate the mind of when you're writing for a character. You're trying to get into his mind and say, how would he be looking at those things,
Because in some sort of way, it's very similar to Mani Ratnam's Ravan in that sort of way, because Indu's character runs with Lakna.
Yeah.
And Lakna is shown as somebody who is far more sensitive and empathetic than the Gujar and the cops and all of that. And the fact that you also have a Diwali sequence in the film, which is also very different kind of a Diwali, because the cats come in contrast to what originally happens in Ramayan. And basically the central thing happens during that moment. And all of that. So that's why I think so. I keep.
Yeah. So I mean, it had more to do with the characters that we had created.
Okay.
Because this is how they will think. This is how they will approach. Because Ramayan is something that gives context to everything that they do.
Yeah.
And so that's why it was there.
Yeah.
We were not deliberately trying to draw any comparisons, really.
Yeah.
But when religion or when a religious text like Ramayan, influences everyday aspect of your life, then it's going to play a role. In the characters.
Yeah. What can you tell us about like some anecdotes from shoot and like working with Sushant and Bhumi and Manoj and everyone?
Well, it was, the thing about the shoot was that it was a very difficult shoot in terms of the logistics.
Yeah.
Because the terrain is very difficult. And getting there is very difficult. Sometimes, the locations would be very hard to get to. So many days we used to have a JCB in front of us clearing the road so that we could land at the location. So it was tough like that. And it was physically very rigorous. We really had to be at the top of our physical game to be able to do the shoot. But at the same time, what I do remember is that the shooting happened very peacefully for all its problems. There was no consternation, there was no ego issues, there were no problems like that. I mean, there were problems of a nature that was beyond anybody's control. Light is a problem, the landscape is a problem, But human beings weren't the problem. So everybody made the film in a very, so the atmosphere was very positive throughout, and we were onto something we all knew. So in that sense, it was a very, very good experience. But I mean, there were difficulties for sure. As far as anecdotes are concerned, they are really hard to remember. I do remember one thing is that when I was shooting with I think this is the second day of Manoj's shoot, or first day of Manoj's shoot, second scene or something like that. And we were sitting, it was a sit-down scene when Beniram and the other guy come. And we are setting up that scene, and Manoj is sitting there on his mark, and he starts looking around.
Yeah.
And I said, "What are you looking at?" And he said, "This is where I shot my first scene of Bandit Queen." And the first scene he shot was he looks at Phulan from across the the pond. So he said, this is where we shot that. And that was kind of
eerie.
Yeah, man. It was like, really? Like, and we were shooting, what, 25 years later?
Right.
But yeah, so that was quite freaky actually. In fact, the scene, the Diwali scene, when the bandits come to Gujar's house at night, and the kids wala scene, that location is where the famous, or rather infamous scene of Bandit Queen, where she's made to walk.
Okay.
She's stripped and she walks through the village. That's where it was shot.
Oh, okay.
That same square.
Okay.
So and we chose this location without knowing these things.
Yeah.
It's only when we are shooting in the morning, in the evening, and we land there, and then this guy comes from the, and he's got an actual, aap log ye kyun use kar, he's actually got a Donali. And he says ki aap ye use karo. Bhai, loaded Donali leke, he's moving around. He told us ki this is where this was shot.
Okay.
So there were these,
But it's quite common. There is a bit of a gun culture there.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like everyone carries a gun.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone carries a rifle. And a rifle.
A rifle. हमने देखा था रेकी पे when we were traveling, that there was this guy on a dhoti in a bicycle with a young kid sitting behind him, and Donali is double the size of the kid.
Right.
वो साइकिल पे जा रहे हैं, फट्टी धोती है, लेकिन Donali है उनके साथ.
And so it's sort of even in these like very small one-horse towns like say Itawas and Bhind, Morena and stuff, you would hardly see any other like modern shops or establishments like a coffee shop, at least not back then, like none of that. And I don't want to sound like a city slicker, but you will not find any of that. Yeah. But there would be like on a stretch of a kilometer, you would find 5 gun shops. Yeah. Selling guns and imitations. In fact, did I tell you this one time? The Gunjit and I, Gunjit had gone with me for the research, and there was this guy who was supposed to take us to, I think, was it Mohar Singh's house or to one of these locations, and we don't know who it was. A journalist had set that up, and we picked him up, and there is this guy waiting for us with this huge Denali. I'm like, man, is this the guy? And then he comes in, right? And he gets into our Innova, whatever we had, and then it starts moving. Yeah. And at some point of time, there is this like heated argument that he's having with someone on the phone, and then we hear a gunshot.
Oh shit!
Right? Shit. And both of us, we shat because we were like, goli chal gayi, right? It was that. So we both ducked. Shit. And then you realize it was basically a car that was passing by from the other side, and a pebble, it just hit the wrong angle and it hit the glass of our the back window of our thing, and it burst the whole thing. But it was spooky like that because it was just seeing so many guns was kind of crazy.
Yeah. In one of the interviews, I've also talked about how it was during the release. You're talking about. Because the general elections were just around or something like that when you guys were shooting. Yeah. And you guys used to have a lot of like long political chats, especially Ashutosh Rana.
No. So the Ashutosh Rana Sahab's room was adjacent to, I think, Manoj Bhai's room. Yeah. And although Ashutosh sir is not from Chumble, but he's from nearby. Okay. I think Sagar, or something, which was about Sagar, which is about an 8-hour drive from there. So he would have his janta come in there, and then and he's a teetotaler, doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, and we were not teetotalers, and we have all the vices, but we would go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night, and these discussions would go on till like wee hours in the morning, talking about politics. So, which I think used to trouble Manoj Bhai because he wanted to sleep. So that used to happen a lot. Used to happen a lot. Other thing that Sushant used to do, we were staying in this lovely property in Dholpur, which had a lovely garden. You'll see peacocks roaming about and all that. And there was some celestial event while we were shooting over there. Okay. And this guy, Sushant, he had this ginormous telescope, which was not the ones that we keep for hobby in our house because it looks good. This was actually a genuine telescope that professionals would use, and it had to be dismantled and brought on a truck from Bombay, and a couple of young scientists had to come to set it up in the camp, in the in the lawn
where you were staying.
outside where we were staying, and that's what he would do.
Oh.
So after shoot would pack up, you'd see that वो lawn में लेटा हुआ है and he's got his eye on the eyepiece and he's looking at planets, and there was one day that everybody went and did that. So yeah, that crazy guy.
Yeah. I want to also talk to you about the climax where Ranveer's character says,
Yeah.
this is the girl we have been looking for all through, and this is what Dadda also
सब अपनी
wants."
अपनी सोंचरिया तलाश रहे हैं.
Yeah. And that's a very tricky scene because it's kind of spelling the subtext in some sort of way, what the film is actually about. So how did you go about writing that, because so that it doesn't appear heavy-handed or like?
Well, I mean, it's always a thin line. You don't want to appear heavy-handed, but at the same time, you want to make sure that
The point is made.
That the point is made. So it's it's that balancing act that I guess it came out from
Okay.
that place, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also if we hadn't spoken it, nobody would have gotten it.
Yeah. That why? Yeah.
No, nobody would have
But
gotten
why the film was called Sonchiriya?
Yeah, some
or-
obscure
Yeah.
critic sitting in Rajkot is not going to cut it for us. And we really needed it spelled. I'd
Not
rather
that
be,
it helped much, but
yeah, but I'd rather have it.
Yeah.
I'd rather be loud than be obscure.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
we another thing about the writing which has never happened to me before or since is that Sudip did you can call it a step outline, his first stab at it. Okay, his first stab at the step outline. I've seen the document a few times. That is the film.
Wow.
The first thing that he wrote, is actually the film, because 90% of the dialogue is there in it. Most of the scenes are exactly the way you had written that document, although it was not formatted. It was just that was amazing because he saw the film so clearly.
Yeah.
The first time only. I think it was virtue of because we had worked for
We have-
so long.
We had 6 months before that.
6 months before that, we had not written a word, but we have, discussed it ad nauseum, So, but that was amazing because the first thing that I read, and, I didn't remember it like that. But later, much after the film came out, one day I was just looking at the step outline. I said, fuck, this is the film. This is what he wrote and this is what I made. I mean,
Yeah.
so that was amazing. That's very rare.
Yeah.
It should not be used as a benchmark. It should not be कि हर बार नहीं होता ऐसा. उस बार हो गया.
Yeah. Did the reception kind of disappointed you guys, the way it performed commercially?
I had a sense. I knew it that it's not going to do well commercially.
Okay.
And also many things happened before the release that contributed to the performance. Though I
There
don't
was
think-
also a clash with
Clash तो ठीक है अपनी
and
जगह है.
this
This is-
Pulwama that had happened. Just
I guess, and also, I mean, there was a problem with the dub. The dub was not supposed to release in a lot of centers. The dub was only for non-Hindi speaking areas, but it went to Hindi speaking areas, and so the revenue, which I mean, I'm sure it will still not have been a blockbuster, but it would have done better than it did.
Yeah.
There were some factors. I don't think the film was correctly marketed. I'm not saying it was not enough. I mean, maybe the promos and things like that. But I don't think the pitching was on point, apart from the trailer. So there were many factors. Everybody knew, we all knew that this is never going to be a money spinner. This is a somber film.
Okay.
It's exciting, it's cinematic, but it's a somber film. So we knew that.
Yeah.
But I think there were also other factors because of which it couldn't do, even recover its costs.
Yeah.
Which of course, affects us. It affects us. It feels bad.
I was honestly more disappointed with just the way the release happened.
Exactly.
And the marketing of it and the these alternate dubs. And I remember my brother saw the film in Gurgaon and I didn't even know because I was shooting Patal Lok, the first season at that point of time. So I didn't even know that you told me that there would be this dub and that there would be like 50 odd Hindi prints for just
So it was meant for Bengal and
for these non-Hindi speaking regions.
Yeah.
And he calls me and says, dude, there's something wrong with your film. And I was like, oh, what do you mean? He said, I don't know, man, it just sounds it just sounds amateurish.
Yeah.
And he's not from films, he doesn't understand this, right? And he's like, I'm a fan of Manoj Bajpayee, but this guy doesn't sound like Manoj Bajpayee. And so what have you dubbed him, or what have you done? I had no idea. Like this Hindi dub, I've not seen it and not heard it. And see, I mean, as you take a lot of pride in your work as you know, as writer or as director, and I was very proud of personally for me, like I was very proud of the dialogues of the film.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought it was because that's a language that I learned while researching the film. So I picked up Bundelkhandi and I wrote it, like I think 90% of it was more or less there, and then we had to just get it corrected and get an expert to, like, you know, change a few things and all, but the essence of the lines was all there. So I was very proud of, okay, you know, we have been able to make it sound authentic, which was very, very important to us. But then to hear that really did crush me.
Yeah. So the idea was that they're going to two separate DCPs, but they did not do that. So in one DCP, you can switch between the dub and the real location, and the dub was called Hindi. What is the theatre guy going to choose? It's a Hindi film.
Yeah.
So it was a buffet by the distributors, but what can we say?
Yeah, and I think so. A lot of, after Sushant's passing away, a lot of fans went back to the film. That's what I kind of experienced on social media, because they perhaps didn't see the film when it released, and it sort of got a renewed sort of appreciation and all of that.
Yeah.
Did that you also experience something like that?
Well,
Just after his passing, the film got a lot of momentum and it suddenly got picked up.
we wouldn't know how many people in Z5 are watching it, but but one thing for sure, Sonchiriya, more than anything that I have made, has sustained, the viewership has sustained, because I still get, you know, messages on your social media, or, you know, or those who can reach me, or just somebody writes them. People still write about it, people still talk about it, and that's the only film that I've only heard good things from, you know, about. So people speak very warmly about the film even today, after so many years. So in that sense, and that sense also, I mean, I don't want to sound too smart or anything, but I had that sense about this film.
Okay.
I knew that it's going to live. You know, I knew that the release and all of that didn't pan out the way we would have liked it to, but I knew that the film has durability. I was pretty sure of that, and I think it's going to be around for some time.
Yeah, of course. I just have two last questions. One of them being, if you had to make Sonchiriya today, what would you change if you had to?
I think the first question should be whether you would be allowed to make Sonchiriya today. No, we were very lucky to be able to make that film. I think it was just the last of those films that could, and because right after that the pandemic happened and then the world changed.
But you could, I'm assuming you could
Sonchiriya you would not get money for right now.
Right.
Before censors and all that, nobody would give you, 10 rupees to make that.
Yeah, it will not
even
be.
though streaming.
No, streaming worse.
It will not be funded, not at all. Streaming, no way. It will not be funded. If it's funded and it ever gets made, it will not clear the censor boards.
God.
And nobody will come to
No,
the
actor
theatres to
नहीं
watch
मिलेगा
it.
यार. Actor कहाँ मिलेगा?
Actor भी नहीं मिलेगा.
कौन actor मिलेगा?
At least at that point in time.
So the thing was that there was a phase. Sonchiriya was the last film, I would say.
Yeah.
There was a phase when actors could take risks.
Yeah.
There was an appetite for the alternative amongst the audience. You know, for a period of about 15 or 20 years, there was an appetite for the alternative. So many alternative filmmakers, found a lot of success in that time.
Yeah.
That era is well and truly over.
Yeah.
So at every stage, critical stage of filmmaking, Sonchiriya would, collapse. I don't think it would. All of us are making genre films. I mean, with more of the genre tropes, rather than trying to say anything within quotes important.
Yeah. But no changes at all. You guys are
Creative. There would be. I don't know, but I wouldn't.
I mean, we are different people.
We are
from
different
what
people.
We were.
Okay.
I mean, they would. At this point in time, I would say there would probably be less violence.
Yeah.
Because I've kind of.
Yeah, your relationship has changed.
Yeah. So
there will be less slow motion shots. There were one too many. I feel now when I look back upon it, तब तो मुझे अच्छा ही लगा था तभी मैंने.
What was the last time you saw it?
Yeah. That was my next question.
Some में maybe early COVID में कभी COVID के दौरान लॉकडाउन में कभी देखा होगा. When my parents were watching.
Okay.
मैंने खुद बैठ करके नहीं
No,
देखी.
I haven't seen it since
Then.
the release.
Yeah.
When we had the screening.
We had a screening, yeah.
So after that I haven't seen
No, I think during
मेरे पास subscription ही नहीं है उसका.
मेरे पास भी Z5 नहीं है. Shit, I should have said that. But no, but I think there was one time that my parents wanted to watch it during lockdown because they were here in Bombay and they were getting really bored. So I had the film with me.
Yeah.
So they saw it and I was going in and out and watching and then, oh yeah, now I remember. I saw it a couple of years ago in SRFTI.
Oh, okay.
I had gone to SRFTI to
Yeah.
do a workshop and they had a screening of on the big screen.
Oh, nice.
Right.
So I thought कि भाई बड़े screen पे तो उड़ानी चाहिए. So I saw it on the big screen.
Yeah.
And the very fact that I could sit through it says a lot.
Yeah.
I could sit through the entire film. I didn't need to get up.
Yeah. Salvation seems to be a very, or redemption seems to be a very recurring motive in your film. Is that a conscious choice or it just organically happens?
No, I guess it's a way to finding my own way to atone for my sins. I guess I don't know. I don't know. No, it just so happens.
It's like a staple theme. That's
Yeah, I
all.
guess. Yeah, with Tommy also, it's redemption.
Right.
Yeah.
In Urta. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess it
Is the Brahmin's burden.
जब दो मिल जाए तो फिर.
Yeah. And lastly, when are you guys collaborating next? I really need to watch a film.
No, we will.
We have to because between us we had a 3-film
Trilogy.
a 3-film deal.
Yeah.
We have done 2.
Yeah. We'll do some. आराम से
yeah.
करेंगे तो है time.
Yeah. You're kind of waiting for the tide to kind of change.
No. We're just waiting for I
The
don't
right
know
story.
things to happen by.
Right.
You know, they will happen. I mean, when they
Yeah.
need to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now also we are in a, you know, it's a mid-career that we are in. You know, and I'm being optimistic. I hope it's mid-career. I hope we've got 20 years of filmmaking still left within us. At least 20 years of filmmaking left within us. But you know, it's a mid-career thing, and so it's like the middle of a film. It's messy. It's tight. You're finding. You're in the thick of it.
Yeah.
And the times that we are in, both of us are in, we've got to negotiate too many things right now.
Right.
So we'll definitely do it when the time comes.
Yeah. And you said in one of the interviews that you perhaps might not return to films. I was watching some interview of
I
you.
might not return to film.
Yeah, because you was very comfortable within the streaming. Like
Yeah, I mean, but things change here all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Things. I mean, I find it very difficult to imagine myself doing a film right now with just the way films are getting made and the kind of films that are getting made, at least for theatre.
Yeah.
You know, because I can't see myself doing something like that.
Yeah.
But it would take someone like, you know, the chance to work with someone like him and to do something like what we were able to do with those 2 films to, you know, to do films again. It would really take that, you know.
Yeah.
And hopefully, you know, that should come about because I'm hoping this is a phase of
I
you know, there's always a phase, you know. People would hopefully get bored of watching the same thing and there would be you know. So, you know.
I think already people are getting bored of
Yeah.
कितनी mass entries करोगे यार? People are already getting bored of it.
Yeah.
I think so. All through my existence, it hasn't been this bad.
You're right.
Since the time I've been watching.
No, not your time. For our time also.
I mean, we've been longer than you. You know.
It was like, I mean, when we were growing, when we were kids, that was one of the worst phases.
Right. The 80s and the 90s.
Yeah. But this is much worse.
Yeah.
तब NFDC तो था.
Right.
You know, अब तो वो भी नहीं है. So
But I think so. Sonchiriya is the kind of hope that I keep going back to. And I was telling him, and I was actually texted him that if it wasn't for his films and Sonchiriya, then I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing because it's a film that I
him
keep
to blame.
no. I keep going back to it, and I think so. It's one of the best films of that year, and also one of the best films of that entire decade that we had. And you rightly said it was one of the last ones to do that what it did, and it also a film which is like in my letterbox. It's always going to be there as a top in my top 4 films all the time.
Lovely.
And I'm really glad you guys did this, and best of luck for everything.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you
Anas.
so much.